Math World, solving time, excellent. Hi, it's Miss Monsanto again.
And Miss Hill.
And we are here to bring you a video about long division. So this last unit that we've been working on for the last 4 weeks has been all over long division and strategies. So we are going to go over a few of those strategies with you today. First one, here's our zoom in skills, nice, is sharing equally. So this is how we started talking about long division. In 3rd grade, your kids were exposed to division, and we shared equally, and we did equal group models and arrays, area models, and number lines. So in 4th grade, we're actually taking our numbers, our 3-digit and 4-digit numbers, and we are dividing them by 1-digit divisors. So we talked about how inefficient it would be to start counting by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be nuts. So in this case, I'm looking at my number, and I know that I don't have enough to put a 100 into each of my models. So I'm going to go to my next place value, which are my 10s. So I can do that. I'll do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. Again, this is not a really efficient way, so this is why we learn other strategies, and I can keep going and going. Right now I'm at 200, so I still have 7 10s, or 74 more to go. 7 10s, 4 1s, so I'm going to keep going. And I have 210, 220, 230, 240. Now I'm stopping there, and I'm thinking about it. Do I have enough to go into 4 boxes if I only have 3 10s left? So I'm at 240, and I have 3 10s left, and I know that I do not have enough. So now I'm going to start counting by ones here. So I was at 240.
34 more.
This is going to take a while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. I only have 32, and I have 34 more to go, so that means I have what we've introduced in 4th grade called the remainder. So I had 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 65, 66, 67, 68, with a remainder of 2.
Okay, and because our numbers become rather large when we're dividing in 4th grade, we do a 3-digit by 1 digit and a 4-digit by 1 digit. So we are not going to want to share 4,557 divided by 4. That would just take too long, and it leads us to make lots of silly mistakes. So we introduce the area model. Now, what the good thing with the area model is it doesn't have to be an exact number every time, the same number. So what I mean by that is if you are dividing 274 divided by 4, you don't have to get as close as you possibly can to 274, because all it's going to allow you to do is make more boxes and make smaller numbers, and eventually you will get to the same quotient. So we do like to teach them to get as close as possible based on knowing their facts. But I'll show you that with partial quotient. For right now, I'm just going to say, okay, what can we multiply 4 by and get as close to 274 as possible? I always like to tell my kids, start with hundreds. Can I multiply 4 times 100? No, because 4 times 100 would give me 400, and that is way too many. So I'm going to half that, and I'm going to try 50. So if I tried 50 here, 4 times 50 is 200, and I know that 200 is less than 274. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract that, and that's going to leave me with 74. Okay, now your remainder here is 74, so you're going to move it to the next box, and I'm going to say, okay, how many times does 4 go into 74? Well, I know that 4 times 10 is 40. So that means that 4 times 20 is 4 times 20 is 80. That's too much. So I'm going to stick with 10. So 4 times 10 is 40. Subtract that, it's going to give me 34. And so you would just make another box here, and you can move the 34. And now 4 goes into 34 how many times? Well, I know that 4 times 8 is 32. So I'm going to say 8 times and subtract that 32. Oops, 32. And that's going to give me my remainder of 2. We always like to tell the kids, you know you're done when your remainder is less than your divisor. So 2 is less than 4, so I know I can't go anymore. And your partial quotients are at the top, so that's what you're going to add together to get your final quotient. So 50 plus 10 plus 8 is going to give you that 68, and then you have your remainder of 2. Okay, and you might have seen your kids do this at home on their homework, but this is our partial quotient method. We like to have them set up a T-chart for their divisor. A lot of the kids are still struggling with knowing their facts fluently. Even if they do know them fluently, these are large numbers and it's just an easier visual for them. So you would have them, if our divisor is 4, you'd have them make a T-chart 1 through 9 and then write their facts. We all know our times 1, so we all know 4. We all know our doubles, so we know that's 8. And we all can count by 5s. So right there, you have 3 of the 9. And then from there, you just have to count 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16, all the way down. They do this in class. They know that's an expectation of them. So you have your T-chart, and then we have it set up just like we do standard algorithm, but you see this long side. This is where we're going to put our partial quotient. Okay, so with partial quotient, I do like them to get as close as possible to make their life easier. So I like to have them underline the first 2 digits of the dividend. Here we have 27. Okay, now they're going to go to their T-chart and they're going to look what times 4 is as close to 27 without going over. I see 28, but 28 is greater than 27, so they need to go up to 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, so I'm going to have them put a 6 on the side. And they know that 6 times 4 is 24. However, we're not doing standard algorithm. We are doing partial quotients. So we're actually doing the 274. So I need to multiply that by 10. So I need to get a placeholder here, which is going to give me a placeholder on my 6. So that's 4 times 60 is 240. We're going to subtract, and that's going to give me 4, 3, which gives me that 34. Now we're down to 2 digits, so now we're going to be down to a single partial quotient. So 4 goes into 34 how many times? We're going to look. 36 is too big, so I'm going to have to use 32, and that's going to be 4 times 8. So 4 times 8, the 8's going to go over here, is 32. So we're going to subtract that 32, and that's going to give me a remainder of 2. They know to check. 2 is less than 4, so this is my remainder. Add it. It's going to give you 68 with the remainder of 2.
Okay, and so this brings us to our last strategy or way to work out a long division problem, which is your standard algorithm, which is what you probably have been doing at home when your kids are showing you partial quotient and you're like, what? I didn't do that in school. And this is the last step. So we are not expecting them to be here yet, but we are showing it to them and we are exposing it to them. But they absolutely are, our expectation is not for them to be doing this in class or by themselves yet. So if they are there, amazing, great. If they're not, no worries. So standard algorithm is what you guys did in school. I do have my kiddos look over here, just like Ms. Hill said, so you're looking at your first 2 digits here. I also remind them to compare that first digit in your dividend. So if it's less than my divisor, that's when I look at those first 2 numbers, because there are occasions when that first number is greater than the divisor. So this is just math facts. So we break it down into math facts. How many times, or what times 4 is close to 27? And we said 6, so I multiply it out. 6 times 4 is 24. I subtract. Bring down my 4, I start over. What times 4 is close to 34? We said 8, so I'm going to multiply it out. 32, subtract, and then I have my remainder 2. And so you'll notice that we talked about the remainder in each one of these because they're all the same problem, so they have their remainder. So we want to go over something else that we talk about in 4th grade, which is interpreting the remainder.
Okay, so for this problem it says, Mrs. Hill has 274 books that she is putting in 4 boxes. How will we interpret the remainder for each of these questions? Okay, so there's going to be 3 choices. You are either going to use the quotient only, which would be 68. You are either going to use the remainder only, which is 2, or you're going to take that quotient and add 1. The reason why you add 1 is because you're using that remainder as a group. So it would be 68 plus 1, which is 69. So you have 3 choices when doing a division problem. So 3 questions would be, how many boxes will she need for all the books? Another one was, how many books will she have left over? Or how many books will she put in each box? So one of those questions is going to be just the quotient, how many equal boxes will be filled, so how many boxes of 4 will be filled equally, and then how many boxes will she need if she needs to put all the books in the box, or how many will be left over.
So take a moment to go over those with your kid. You can press pause and see if they are able to interpret the remainder, and then when you press unpause, we'll give you the correct answer. All right, you're back. Good job. So hopefully you said for the first question, how many boxes will she need for all the books? Did we drop the remainder? Did we add 1 more? Or is the remainder going to be the answer? And you said you're going to add 1 more because all the books need to be put in boxes. So you're going to add 1 more, so she would need 69 boxes. How many books will she have left over? And so hopefully you guys decided that the remainder is going to be the answer. So that means that there are 2 books left over. And that leaves the last one. How many books will she put in each box? We're going to ignore the remainder, and the answer is 68 books.
Okay, and then your next question is, a teacher put 378 marbles into 9 containers. He put the same number of marbles into each container. How many marbles did the teacher put in each container?
And the second problem that we are hoping that your child will work out and bring back to us is Valerie had a jug that contained 128 fluid ounces of salsa to put into bowls at a restaurant. She filled each bowl with 6 fluid ounces of salsa until there was not enough salsa left in the jug to completely fill another bowl. How many fluid ounces of salsa were left in the jug? So on the second one, you're definitely going to be talking about that, interpreting the remainder. So remember that I had some kids that watched the video and I saw your feedback, but they forgot to bring their work. So don't forget to fill out the Google form and include how your child did, and your kiddo is bringing back the 2 questions that they solved at home with you. So happy solving. Hope you guys enjoy the video and this helps make sense of the way we were working on long division. So, all right, party on, Miss Hill.
Party on!